Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon for Harmony Energy Healing. Doing a little video today about, it's kind of about gossip. What we discuss and what we either understand or don't understand about what we discuss, but the problem is most of the time we don't even know what we don't understand. So it can be just very tragic when we react and overreact to misinformation. So being an observer in life situations, whether it's growing up, whether it's at home with siblings, whether it's at school, whether it's in the workplace, neighborhood, issues, or social media, where we observe part of something. So we might see dialogue here in person, or see dialogue going back and forth between people, which is them trying to react or understand something through the communication, however heated it might be, and however cruel it might be. And what does that reflect? So we might not know the whole story, and from the bits and pieces that we observe or hear or process or understand or misunderstand, we might react to that or take a side or jump to a conclusion which might be wrong. Sometimes we're unkind to people who are innocent in the situation, but we don't know they are because we're reacting to misinformation. And sometimes people, you might have friends who are having this altercation, and one or both of the friends might be talking to you, talking about their perception, their side, their understanding, how they find it hurtful or unacceptable or whatever it is. We're meant to learn from it all, but we have feelings, we have emotions, and we have triggers. So when we react to something strongly, there's something beyond the thing which made us react. What's that? Where does that go? Where does that come from? But sometimes I observe, okay, like we might have friends on here, we might see them sort of go through their friends. In other words, they have a friendship and then falls out, and then they get a new one and it falls out, and there's patterns. There's patterns. And what do we learn from any of it? Hopefully we are paying attention to that, because that is what is important. But so sometimes people disagree or don't get along. There's a misunderstanding and reaction to something. And so you might hear somebody talk about it. There's something that happened. And so you have bits and pieces of the information. You have part of the story. And some people are pretty good about being able to be open to both sides and hold space for that and have an understanding of that, whatever that limited understanding is. So somebody might tell you what's going on, and it might seem strange, but you don't know both sides of the story. And those people move apart from each other. And then one might try to come back into the space, and maybe they can make that work if they can communicate and be open and be nice. But then sometimes you'll hear from a friend that another friend did or said something that was kind of shocking, or it doesn't make sense. You can't find any reason for the behavior. Where are they coming from? And they'll say stuff they might think that you did something to them, or that you said something about them. Two things here. Maybe something was discussed, and maybe it was. Sometimes people think something about you that's not even true at all, and then they go off half-tilt about that, holding something against you that's not even true. And you can try to defend yourself, and they may or may not listen, or sometimes you just have to detach, block, and you're out. Because Why should you let that energy in your space where someone is trying to accuse you of doing something you didn't do without all the information, and they can't even talk to you like an adult because these are the behavior patterns. But then again, sometimes when we go through something, life events, we will discuss it with someone. Now, some people gossip because they're talking shit, because they're just being nasty, because it's all ego feed, because it's all the dramatic bullshit, all the drama that some people love to feed on. So there's that, which who cares if it's true? And then there's when people have experiences, okay, that they are trying to understand. And so they discuss with a friend, they say, this is what happened. Okay, this is what happened. This is what they said. This is what I said. And they're trying to figure out what the hell it even means. And they're trying to learn from it through discussing it. So sometimes people have a discussion with someone. And whatever their perception is might not paint a person in a great light, but that person's behavior also might not paint them in a good light, or however we understand or misunderstand that. So just because you're discussing it with someone and then someone else goes and blabs doesn't mean you were talking shit about anyone or gossiping at all. It might mean you were just having a conversation about someone's behavior, so they created that situation, and then when someone else goes and talks about it, then they get all butthurt because they think someone's gossiping about them when that might not even be the case. Okay, so again, we don't have all the facts. So it's important to be aware of what we're reacting to and why. Because if someone's just saying something and you know it's not true, you might be able to say, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Or you might be able to have a discussion about it if it is something you know what they're talking about and you would like to discuss it, or you're open enough or calm enough to discuss it without flying off the handle or feeling like a victim. And people can get attacking with stuff, so you do need to be careful, and that's not a stable energy. That most people don't want to be around that. But where's it coming from? So when someone is thinking that someone did something and they didn't do it, and they don't want to have like a calm conversation about it, then they're not really going to get very far with it. And then what happens is we carry these burdens, we carry this misinterpretation, we carry anything that's attached to it. Is it feeling hurtful? Is it feeling victimized? Whatever label you want to put on it, there's something attached to that if we haven't worked through it, either by having a discussion, being open, being honest, even apologizing. Sometimes you can apologize and say, you know what, I'm sorry that this got all blown out of proportion, because nothing like that was intended. It's not meaning you're apologizing for doing something wrong when you know damn well you didn't do anything wrong. And or if you actually did do something wrong and you're strong enough and wise enough to admit it and realize what it is or what it was and admit it, that empowers you to say, you know what, my bad, I'm sorry. Geez, I guess that came out kind of shitty and I didn't really mean it like that. Or this is the way it was making me feel and I know I need to let that go. Whatever, if you come to a realization and you can be strong enough to admit it and apologize for it, more power to you, big time. So whatever, but this is just about the fact that we oftentimes react to misinformation. We do not have all the facts with anything. And there's all kinds of diabolical political fuckery going on right now on social media. Watch out for the traps. If you don't feel like giving your energy away or being drained by some vampire, then just don't get drawn into it. I mean, you can do what you can do that you feel strongly about, and or you can completely give your power away through the power of hatred and fear and programs and patterns. It's all choice. Peace.